Fine, I yelled back at Lily, who was telling me to hurry up, because today is the day that I will be sent to Newark Academy, my new school. I took my time because this is the last morning that I will be waking up in my room here in Lexington. The knot in my stomach grew with each step to the bathroom. And by the time I turned the shower knob on, it's nearly unbearable. My weekends were spent drinking with my friends, wasting my time, and intentionally jeopardizing my future. And Lily didn't mind at all. She only wanted to get rid of me, throw me out of our house that Dad bought for me. The hot water cascaded over my body, loosened my strained muscles, and made my head spin more from the hangover. I hurriedly washed my hair and body and dried them with the white and soft towel after. Ashley. My mom called again, and I rolled my eyes as I walked down the stairs. What took you so long? And what the hell are you wearing? Her big green eyes widened as it raked over my body, wearing short shorts and a black crop top. None of your business, I snapped. Bye, Lils. I waved my hand at her and walked my way to the black BMW that was waiting for me. Ashley, she screamed. But I already signaled Lance, our driver, her lover, to drive off, leaving Lily with an annoying smirk and a beauty queen wave. Bye, bitch. Wah? Are you kidding me? You fucking old man? I yelled at Mr. Smith, my supposed-to-be landlord. I can't fucking believe this. His already white eyebrows narrowed, glaring murderously at me. Watch your words, Miss Anderson. I am not tolerating you speaking to me that way here in my own house. I laughed out loud at his face, standing up and pointing at his face angrily. Do you even realize what you have done? You dirty old man, I hissed, and he glared at me. I am going to report you to the goddamn officers. Can you just lower down your voice and listen to me? Mr. Smith raised his voice, but I didn't budge. I stood still, acting like a shiver didn't crawl up my spine when he shouted, No. You gave my apartment to someone else. I already booked that last month, but still, you gave it away. I already paid you. How is any of that okay? I gritted my teeth, looking at this old man with a fire burning in my gaze. Mr. Smith's expression softened slightly, and he stood up too. His trembling hands caught my shoulders, gently ushered me to sit. Listen to me first, will you? I obeyed and sat back down. My knees shook with silent anger, and I kept my hands on them to keep them from doing so. Please have a heart. I already told you what happened, right? He said, and I glared at him. He called me this morning while I'm inside the car. On my way here, he told me that a pregnant teenage girl came to his doorstep, looking for a place to stay, and he didn't think twice, and gave it to her. He didn't even consider me in making his decisions. Won't you give the apartment to her? To see her baby grow up in comfort and luxury? He was emotionally drawing me in, and damn, it was working. I dropped my head in my hands and shook it. Fine, I understand. I mumbled, and he genuinely smiled at me. Can you at least provide me with a place to stay in this building? I asked, and he was silent for a minute, thinking. And I continued. You know why I chose to reside here? Newark Academy is just 10 minutes away, and I don't have a car. Lance drove back to his lover. My mom, Lily, whatever. What do you think about sharing, sweetheart? Mr. Smith inquired, placing a beefy right arm on the armrest, and my eyes narrowed. Depends on the person I am sharing with. I answered, picking my red fingernails. I had no intention of sharing an apartment with someone bitchier than me. Or a creepy nerd girl who doesn't want to talk about having her own world. I want a roommate who is nice and funny, and not one who constantly smells or cuts pieces of my hair while I'm sleeping. I'm also okay with a hot guy or a handsome one, but not with a creepy old man who watched porn at midnight. What? He is a young man in his 20s. And just like you, he studies at Newark. A gem of a boy he is. He works so very hard to achieve his goal, drowns himself in his books and computers. He paused as he studied my reaction. But I gave him a blank expression, waiting for him to continue. He already paid for the whole apartment, but it was way too big for him, with 2 bedrooms, a hall and a kitchen. This morning, before you arrived, he came to ask me to advertise for a housemate. I smiled slightly in relief. Sounds fine. How much will I pay? I asked, as I pulled out my wallet inside my bag. You can give your payment to him because I already told you. That he paid me in full. Fine. Fine. Can I see the place first? I demanded, standing up and stretching. Okay then. I'll show it to you. Uno is probably not at home right now. He's a smart and a good kid, you know. Yeah. I got it. He's an angel right out of church. Can we just go? I cut him off. Okay. So he gave me the freedom to barge into his apartment if there is a client. So, come. I'll take you there. Mr. Smith walked out and I followed him. We walked silently through the hallways, my hands shoved into the pockets of my shorts as I looked around me. The walls were painted beige with painting hung on it. It was so cool to see, and I could feel the hard brown carpet on my feet as we walked further until we reached the elevator. We finally reached the elevator and we stepped inside. An elderly man greeted Mr. Smith, tipping his hat at him. Good morning, Thomas. Hey, Nick, how are you doing? Mr. Smith replied as he pressed a button facing Nick. I'm good. Nick answered. His eyes finally landed on me and it trailed down my body, giving me goosebumps. He smiled lasciviously and then winked at me. I cringed internally. But instead I smiled back at him and pointed my middle finger upward. He chuckled and shook his head. Suddenly, the elevator pinged and Mr. Smith and I stepped out. As soon as the elevator closed, Mr. Smith whispered to me, Nick is an unpleasant old man. Avoid him, sweetheart. Yeah, sure, old man. I grinned at him and he left me. I laughed out loud following him. Mr. Smith stopped in front of a door that was marked 17W. You will never have any problems with Uno, dear. He likes to keep to himself. I shrugged my shoulders impatiently and tapped on my heels, my arms crossed on my chest, watching him as he fished for his keys in his trousers. Ah. Where are you, 17W? A bunch of keys were on his right hand, searching the one with a 17W engraved on it. I rolled my eyes as I picked dramatically on the silver metal thing and dropped it on his left palm slowly. Is he blind? Oh, here it is. He opened the door, and my eyes looked around on the walls painted white. Ah, so boring. On the wall was a 50-inch television, in which there was Xbox Series X and PlayStation 4. Yay. That Uno was definitely a Game Boy. A comfy black couch was placed in front of the television and similar armchairs beside the couch. Everything was neat and tidy, and I couldn't wait to mess it with my own hands. There was a kitchen in view which looked big and modern, an island bar in the center. I automatically fell in love with the place. How about the bathroom? I asked Mr. Smith, running my hands over the couch. There's a bathroom in each bedroom, he answered, and I nodded. Satisfaction on my face was clearly seen. Perfect. I'm going to take it, I told him, and he looked surprised. Do you want to meet Uno? Mr. Smith questioned with his eyebrows raised, and I shook my head. Not interested at all. He looked hesitant, but nodded anyways. Okay then. Looked around first, and I will send someone with your luggage. He walked out of the apartment after handing me the spare keys. I'll give you the check later tonight, I yelled, and he shouted, to Uno. Oh yeah. Why do I always forget that he paid this apartment in full? I ran to the door and looked at Mr. Thomas Smith's retreating figure, and I noticed the way his hips swayed with every step he took, and I stifled a bark of laughter. The reason why he's not looking at me pervertedly is because of this. And I laughed again like a witch who seemed to be successfully created a new spell for my enemies. I closed the door behind me and then leaned against it. A huge smile took over my face and I literally fell on the couch. This softness and the bounciness immediately soothed my aching muscles. After 10 minutes of just lying here, I walked into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator, staring with disgust at its contents. What the fuck? A box of leftover pizza. A bowl of ramen and takeouts were everywhere, on every goddamn shelf. Shit. I bent over to shuffle through the lower shelves, but to my dismay, I could only find a carton of milk, a bottle of water, some eggs and ramen. Seriously. Is Uno a Chinese or Japanese? Why does it seem like ramen was his main dish? And the worst of it all, there was no fucking beer nor any juice. Or a red wine at least. I sighed heavily. I'm going to take that Uno in grocery shopping soon. I exited the kitchen and made my way to the rooms at the end of a narrow passage. These have to be the bedrooms. I opened the one on the right, and was immediately greeted with the mixed scent of ambrette and vanilla. I took a deep breath, didn't want to exhale that delicious aroma. Holy shit, the room was surprisingly neat and clean except for some books lying on the bed. In sight, there was a walk-in closet, but I had no interest in Uno's clothing. A few pictures on the wall caught my eye and I walked up to it. Almost all of them consisted of a boy of 14 or 15, and had glasses on his small eyes. Small eyes, it was now confirmed. He's a Chinese nor Japanese. Well, whatever. A hideous smile was plastered on his lips. Cute. His hairstyle reminded me of my favorite Korean actor Lee Min-ho. Just plain long back and a bangs. Uno, oh God, that name is so sexy. Before I could explore anymore, I felt my phone buzzed inside my pocket. I whipped it out and read the name on the screen. I frowned and answered. Hey Lily, what's up? Don't you Lily me? I'm your mother Ashley. Please show some respect. Lily's annoying high-pitched voice screeched through the phone and I rolled my eyes. Bitch! Ever heard the saying? Respect begets respect. I answered, rolling my eyes. I made my way to the other room and looked at my surroundings. The room was exactly the same as Uno's room, but this one had silken pine walls. I like it. There was a king-size bed in the center, and I walked over to it, running my fingers over the soft fabric of the comforter. Are you even listening to me, Ashy? Lily asked, yelling, and I winced at her voice once again, pulling the phone a bit away from my ear. I then realized that she just called me Ashy. I swear to God. If you call me Ashy again, I will. She cut me off with her annoying laughter that made my blood boil hot, literally hot, and my mind traveled back when I was 15. I didn't realize that a tear slipped from my eye and harshly wiped it away when I heard Lily still laughing on the phone. It took everything in me not to throw my precious phone on the wall. Shut the fuck up, I screamed. Why are you calling me anyways? Have you not put me through enough? I seethed. I had warned her before leaving Lexington not to ever call me. No, I'm not done with you yet. Her answer was short and crisp. Don't you have to suck Craig's dick? I reminded her sarcastically. Or Lance's bigger one, and I laughed harder. Craig Richardson was her present husband, and a creep I might add. Ugly as shit. You are getting on my nerves, Ashy. She sweetly beamed and I cringed. I squeezed my eyes and lips shut to stop myself from cursing at her. As she continued talking, anyways, Craig and I are coming to visit you on Sunday. See ya. What the fucking hell? No, don't you dare. The phone beeped, which told me that she hung up. Shh. I screamed, covering my face with my hands as I fell onto the bed. Mom never loved me, and I will never ever forgive her for everything she did to me. Every time I see a girl and her mother, I always feel jealous. They get a home, a loving atmosphere, a caring parent, and everything. For me, if you have a loving mother, you could do anything, could conquer any hurdle. Guess I'm weak when it comes to that. Before I knew it, a single tear rolled down my cheeks. I laughed at my pathetic self and shook my head. I walked into the bathroom, and at that moment I could not even pay any attention to my surroundings. I bent over the glass sink and washed my face with the cold water. I stared at myself in the mirror. Did I do something to make her hate me so much? I shook away the thoughts, not wasting my time to think about her, because no matter how much I think about it, nothing will change. She still hates me for whatever reason. Suddenly, the bell rang and I quickly wiped my face with a clean face towel. That must be Uno. But why does he have to ring the bell? Didn't he bring his own keys? When I opened the main door, I was greeted with two teenagers. Here is your stuff, the boy wearing a black shirt with a Nirvana printed on front said, giving me a huge smile. I smiled back and gave them way and gestured to enter inside the flat. Wow, I thought you were a model from a magazine. What's your name? The other boy with long blonde hair threw in and I cringed. Just keep it all there, I instructed them, pointing to an area on the floor. What's your name? The blondie repeated, folding his arms, leaning the side of his puny bicep against the wooden frame of the door. His eyes shamelessly scaled me and my nose screwed up in disgust. Has anyone told you that you look like a woman's pinky finger? I questioned, and his sly smirk slipping straight off his lips and crashing to the ground like a nuclear bomb. It was the most harmonious music to my ears. He opened the door, arms falling slack to his side, and scoffed. He turned to leave, but I could hear his slight mutter. Fucking bitch. Bye, beautiful. See you around. The one who greeted me when I opened the door yelled as he exited following his friend. Thanks, I shouted, watching him wrap his arm around his friend's shoulder as they disappeared from my sight. I chuckled and locked the door behind me. I pulled my heavy suitcase inside my room and started to unpack all my stuff. After 2 hours of unpacking, I felt exhausted. I stretched my limbs and walked to the bathroom, after taking a satisfactory glance at my newly designed room, stripping down and twisted the faucets. I allowed the water to rain down on me. The water soothed my aching muscles and it calmed me down, drowning all the other noises around me. I pressed my hands to my face as I shivered under the stream. Sucking in a sharp breath, I cleansed myself. My thickly lustrous dark brown hair was now drenched, sticking onto my body. I grabbed a towel, wrapped it around my body, and headed for my room. After drying myself off, I pulled on black lace panties and a similar bra. Then pulled on an oversized shirt that reached my mid-thigh. I grabbed my favorite book of Anne Frank and walked out. Settling myself on the couch, I looked at the time and it was nearing 7 in the evening. Did Uno just fucking die somewhere? Ugh, I hope not. I'm excited to meet him. Judging by what Mr. Smith had told me, he seems to be a nice guy. I guess I might like him. After 30 minutes of reading 6 chapters of The Diary of a Young Girl, I felt my eyelids getting heavy. I'll just go in 5 minutes or 10, or maybe 20. Wes. As I floated to the surface of my slumber, I could detect the echo of a voice through the haziness that were seemingly bouncing off the inner walls of my skull. It sounded a mere inch from my ear, yet 100 feet away at the same time. I told you I don't want a woman. The voice was heavy and deep, and definitely a male. I tried to stay as stiff as possible as my senses heightened. Why he doesn't want a woman. Maybe he's gay, he then mumbled under his breath. And she's sprawling on my couch like she owned my house. Oh, he's definitely talking about me. He doesn't want a female roommate. I was wide awake now, and resisted the urge to screw my nose up in disgust at his input. I opened my eyes half closed to peek if he's looking at me, and a muscular figure caught my sight. I raised my head and my eyes traveled to the dirtiest place as I took his broad shoulders. Long legs clad in a pair of jeans and dark brown hair styled perfectly in a quiff. My eyes shifted down on his bum and oh shit. He's blessed. How much more his front? Why didn't I choose a lingerie to wear, and just my shirt instead? I grinned and my naughty mind told me to play with him. So I pulled my shirt a little high, enough to show my seductive black lace panties. Let's see if you won't fall with my charm this time. If you still don't want a woman in your house. I closed my eyes once again, and I heard his heavy footsteps coming nearer. He let out a heavy sigh, and I felt his hands now on my thighs. Oh God, help me. I'll talk to you later, Thomas. To my dismay, he pulled down the hem of my shirt slowly and gently, but still. I could feel the warmth of his hand on my skin. Tada! Oh Jesus! He stumbled back and fell his blessed bottom on the floor, and I barked a loud laughter. The eyeglasses he was wearing was thrown on the floor, and I stepped down from the couch to pick it up. But he stopped me by raising his hand, so I stayed still. His eyes narrowed and he blushed immediately. Anne Iongasio. He greeted, bowing his head down. Wow. He's a blushing virgin, and I giggled. His jaw was so sharp, it could probably slice an ice. His beautiful eyes were now framed with the soothiest eyeglasses. His lips were straight, and looked so damn kissable. And did I mention the cute nerdy glasses that made him all the more sexier? My eyes were immediately drawn to his defined torso, that was practically visible under his shirt when he stood up. What's your N name? He stuttered, still blushing. Hi, I'm Ashley. I walked up to him, and I noticed his breathing changed as his eyes trailed down to my legs. Ashley Anderson, and you're right? He nodded. Yes, I'm sorry if you're uncomfortable seeing me like this, but I wear only these kinds of clothes when at home. I informed him and I continued. You don't mind, do you? He blushed again and scratched the back of his neck. I know I don't. He answered, and I clenched my thighs at his deep voice. And the worst of it all, he had a damn Korean accent. Oh dear Lord, am I in K-drama world? Please give me strength. Of course you don't. I narrowed my eyes at him playfully, his eyebrows shot up and he slightly shook his head. No, I didn't mean it that way. I'm really, wait. I cut him off. Where did that authoritative I heard? When he's talking to Mr. Smith on the phone earlier. Why does he stutter so much now? What? I want the bossy Now, an unfamiliar urge rippled through me. I wanted him. I wanted all of him. Why don't you want a woman I asked. And he blushed once again, and I swear I combusted right there. Why? You heard me. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just used with man roommates. I don't know how to act casual in front of woman. What? So, you haven't had a girlfriend? I asked, and he looked startled. He chuckled lowly, and I could feel myself getting wet at the husky sound. I don't find the time for one, he answered, as he covered his cheeks to stop me from seeing him redden, I guess. Hey, don't. I caught his right hand on his cheek and pulled it down. He stared at me and I gazed back, immediately hypnotized by his golden eyes. I broke away when he continued staring. Well, it's hot when you blush. I trailed off and bit my tongue. What the fucking hell? He shyly placed his hands down and it was my turn to flush. Great. Just great. Suddenly he cursed. Fuck. What? I bit my lip. Sorry. He pulled his bottom lip into his mouth and sucked on it. I couldn't take this anymore. I swiftly climbed onto his lap carefully, and he stiffened underneath, and I immediately felt like biting my own tongue. So fucking hard. He shifted slightly and whimpered, feeling his hardness under me. What are you doing? He whispered, placing his hands on the couch as if he was scared to touch me. No. I whispered back, biting his earlobe slightly. Ashley. Anna whispered once again, and I moaned quietly at the way his accent embraced my name. He blushed when he caught me staring. Something snapped in me and I quickly got off of him. I couldn't do this. He was way too shy and innocent for someone like me. Someone who's a bitch and rebellious. And I just met him. This was too soon, I guess. Ono looked at me as I stood up, and awkwardly on my feet. Ash. Before he could say anything, I ran back to my room, yelling aloud. I'm so fucking sorry, Ono. Are you fucking insane? I pointed at my reflection in the mirror, looking at myself murderously. What the fuck is wrong with you, self? Is this how my next 3 years are going to pass? Me wanting Ono, lusting over him while he just innocently blushing and stuttering. I paced back and forth inside my room, trying to get a grip, some fucking control. I have never felt like this. I could not deny the unmistakable, overwhelming feeling of attraction that struck through me. I kissed guys who had experience, who knew how to satisfy me and who knew what they were doing, and soon forget about me. Not with Uno, who obviously did not tick any of those points. This guy deserves love and not just a fling. And I'm 100% sure that he is a virgin. I am too, but I knew men and I do know when to stop them when they were about to lose control. But with Uno, if he had some experience, he would not stutter, tense or blush for Christ's sake. But what was it about him that attracted me so damn much? Was it his innocence, his guilelessness, his Korean roots, his sexy as sin body? Maybe because I was head over heels in love with some of K-drama actors. Oh no, I think it's not that. I shook my head. No, I couldn't do this to him. He was obviously the kind of guy who will treat his girlfriend like a fucking queen. The guy who will love her without conditions and will definitely give his all. But don't you want him? Don't you want to feel him under you? And give your fucking self to him, with no reservations? Don't you think it's the time for you to give your virginity to someone who truly deserves it? Oh, self, shut up. I screamed at the invading thoughts. I want him. And I will not stop until I have him. I don't think so. He's too innocent for this. I'm a bad girl and I don't want to destroy him. I'll stay like this, and no one can change me. Not even you, Uno. I am going to try and control myself. Yes. That's the right way, I guess. See. Can I change first? Uno murmured as he swiftly took his hand away from my hold. He walked out of the kitchen, and my eyes followed him and his butt. Shit. Gotta eat that booty like groceries. A mischievous smile crept into my lips as I walked into the closet and pulled on a pair of denim booty shorts and a sexy loose crop top showing my pierced belly button. Let me tease you, Uno, pulling on my new red Converse. I grabbed my bag and decided to leave my hair loose. And my face natural. I don't need any makeup. As I walked out of my room, Uno was already waiting for me, and I was not ready for the sight that was shocked me. Oh my God, Uno! He had ditched his long-sleeved shirt for a short-sleeved black V-neck emphasizing his biceps. My eyes studied every inch of his muscular, tanned arm with a tattoo. He was running his fingers through his hair and going through some discs in a cabinet near the couch. I slowly walked behind him and stood there, admiring his arm and broad shoulders. I cleared my throat loudly, hoping to make him turn around, and he did, but as soon as he turned around, I jumped and climbed into him, my arms on his neck, wrapping my thighs around his waist. Hey, what are you doing? He exclaimed, frowning. But his left arm found my waist to stop me from falling. His right hand still holding the CDs. Why the fuck are you hiding this? I held onto his strong arm and slapped it slightly. You were wearing a full-sleeved shirt earlier. Are you crazy? I hissed. He looked down and murmured, I don't like showing them off. Oh, only few of my friends knew about this. I've never shown them off at sea college. I scowled. What is wrong with this guy? He has everything a girl wanted, but why? I don't like attention, Ashley. His tone took a dangerous turn and a slight shiver ran down my spine. Can I put you down now? I felt my face turned red when I realized I was still clinging at him like a koala bear. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped out of him, but he stopped me. He slowly walked to the couch and gently put me down. What a gentleman he is. I unwrapped my thighs around him, but my arms still wrapped around his neck. I don't want to let him go. I just wanted him so close to me like this. I pulled him closer, and his eyes widened behind that specs. No, I whispered. Stop it, Ashley. I rolled my eyes as he tensed. What if I won't? I whispered again, my face getting closer. Why show me this, if you don't want other people to see it? My hands trailed on his arm and he froze, not daring to move, because, suddenly, there was a knock at the door and we sprang apart. I cringed as Uno gave me a strange look. I'll get it. Stay, I answered, plastering a fake smile on my face. I literally ran towards the door and opened it with my mind racing. Mr. Smith smiled and made his way inside. Great time, old man, and I'm serious this time. If he hadn't showed up, I would have probably taken off Uno's shirt and started kissing each and every design on his arm. Fuck! Uno whispered and ran to his room at lightning speed. A sly smirk made its way to my lips as I followed my gaze into him, who got in an uncomfortable situation. Mr. Smith saw him running and then turned towards me. What happened to him? He asked me, and I shrugged my shoulders slightly. Did you do something to my boy? He accused me and I glared at him. I laughed aloud. What would I do to him? He just got some wood. What? Thomas flushed. Oh no. I'm sorry. Shit. He ate some contaminated food. Yeah, that was it. I shook my head. He has been shitting a lot. Oh. Mr. Smith was all said. He then sat on the couch and stared at me. I hope everything is fine. He narrowed his big blue eyes at me in suspicion. My eyes got wider and my mouth slightly parted at his words. Did he catch what I said earlier? I hope not. Of course, Mr. Smith. Everything was just perfectly fine. Until you came. He's a complete gentleman and a very, very nice guy, just like you said. I smiled at him. Even an elementary schooler would guess that something was going on. I was once told by my drama teacher that I sucked as an actress. She never let me participate in any of the plays in our school that made me do naughty things on her. I remembered one time, when she was in the middle of our lesson and someone called her. She picked up her phone and excused herself to the class and went out. I sprinkled itching powder on her coat that was hanging on her desk, which resulted in her staying at home for a week. The remembrance of that incident made a small laugh escape my lips. "What's funny?" Mr. Smith asked, a frown on his face. "Nothing, old man," and he frowned deeper. "Just remembered something." I answered him swiftly. He looked away and ignored my presence for the next 3 minutes of my life. "Thank God. Why are you here anyway?" I interrupted his crazy thoughts. "We're going out to get some stuff," I informed him, and he turned at me, then took a glance at his great call lively wearable watch. And I stopped myself from bursting out a loud laugh. "You're going out this late? We're 19, Thomas. We can take care of ourselves." I scowled at him. I was getting highly irritated by him. Couldn't he just leave us fucking alone? He heaved a heavy sigh, staring at me. "I am well aware that you are both adults and can take care of yourselves, but Uno has never set foot out after 8, I laughed. "Really, Thomas? We are going to buy some groceries, not to a nightclub." I leaned back on the couch. "By the way, I don't see how it's any of your business what we do, Ashley. What Uno does is totally my business. He's like a son to me, and I know he has been through a lot. Don't make his life any worse than what it is right now." I frowned. Please. A million questions floated into my mind. What happened to him? What had he been through? Am I making his life worse? So, he had a bad life back then. But how? What the fuck was going on? What? I started to ask Mr. Smith, but was immediately cut off by Uno. "Hey, Thomas, what brings you here?" He walked in. I noticed that he had once again changed and had pulled on a long-sleeved shirt. My hands were itching to walk up to him and rip his shirt apart. He noticed my angry expression and quickly looked away. I felt my phone buzzed in my pants pocket, and I pulled it out to check on the screen. "Vernon, I'm sorry, guys. I have to take this." I excused myself to them and exited the living room. I took a deep breath before pressing the answer button. "Yo, what's up?" Vernon said, making me sneered. He was my best friend back in high school, and I didn't know he was also sent here in Newark Academy until last weekend. "What do you want?" I asked, irritated. "We're going clubbing. Wanna join?" My weakest link, clubbing. As soon as Vernon hung up the phone, I ran back inside the living room and gave Uno an apologetic look. What?" he asked curiously. "Is everything okay?" Thomas plastered on a fake smile. I shook my head and raised my phone. "Someone called and I'm going out." Thomas walked over to Uno, swaying his hips. He placed his hands on Uno's shoulder and squeezed affectionately. Then they began murmuring some stuff. I could not hear a single thing, no matter how much I tried. So I walked my way inside my room and pulled on black skimpy dress and black boots. When I stepped out of the room, Thomas was gone, and Uno was giving me a scary glare. His gaze traveled from my head down to my boots, making me smile at him seductively. "I'm so sorry, Uno. We can go out sometime." I touched his cheek dramatically, but he stepped back. "I'm fine." And he entered his room, leaving me dumbfounded. "Woo! Strip, strip, strip," the sweaty bodies chanted, although I was way too intoxicated to actually care that they were all staring directly at me in my little black dress. I swayed my hips to the beat of my dancing partner's heart, as his pulse vibrated throughout my entire body due to our very close proximity. His clammy palm roamed on me, and if I wasn't so spaced out, I would have decked him. Oh well, I'll just have to burn this dress later. I downed another cup of the disgusting beer and marinated my tongue in the residue of it. The buzz I was feeling from my head to my feet intensified when I swallowed all the contents of the cup. Almost instantly I felt my partner's hard magic wand poked me as I threw the red solo cup on the floor of temporarily trashed house, which made me want to smack Vernon on the head because he said we're going clubbing. But we ended up here, Ashley. I heard Vernon's condescending voice breathe, and he pulled me away from my partner. Let's go, he said. And even though my vision was blurred, I could have sworn he turned red and steam was coming out of his ears. Or that could have just been my imagination. What the hell, I said. Let's go, you're drunk, he said angrily. Although it just made it look even more cartoony, and I couldn't help but laugh. Stop being such a buzzkill, Vernon. I can hold my alcohol. I said surprisingly. My voice came out clear, aside from a few slurs. Hey dude, Jackson. A random barely known skateboarder came out of the everlasting crowd of drunk hormonal teenagers. He grinned goofily and did the stupid handshake thing with Vernon. He surprisingly managed to keep me properly hoisted while dealing with Jackson. Cheers. You're like a fucking Spider-Man and shit. Keeping me up and stuff, I said, making Jackson looked at me weirdly, but proceeded with his conversation. Ignoring the fascination I had with his nose, I poked his nose oddly while I laughed aloud, and he smacked my hand away but continued talking to Vernon. Okay, dude, we're playing truth or dare upstairs, you coming? Jackson invited Vernon, and he shook his head furiously, obviously irritated with me, but goddamn it, I was ready for fun. Hell yeah, I exclaimed, and Jackson chuckled. You're not playing truth or dare, not this drunk. Those games get real dirty, Vernon said, hiking me up by my waist as I started to slip. But Vernon, I'm Ashley Anderson, and I do whatever the hell I want. I reminded as if he had forgotten, and my throat itched for another drink. He started to protest but thought against it, as he nodded, knowing I wouldn't take no for an answer. I mean, last time. He didn't let me do what I wanted, and took me from a party before I wanted to leave. I screamed rape, and he almost got pounded by my ex. Whatever. Don't blame me when you get felt up, he said, and Jackson navigated us through the pools of vomit on the floor upstairs to one of the spare bedrooms. The room was almost completely empty aside from the mattress that sat on the floor, and the 5 teenagers, half already drunk, sitting on it, some already practically creating a hot scene, and others giggling with each other. Altogether, there were 4 boys and 4 girls. Let's get this started, Jackson said, walking over and sitting next to Melanie on the mattress, who seemed sober. She was clearly out of her element and sheepishly nodded at his indirect statement. You all know the rules. You spin that bottle, Layla informed as she pointed at an empty Heineken bottle in the middle of the circle. And whoever it lands on, you ask truth or dare, blah blah blah. If you refuse the dare or don't answer the truth, you take an article of clothing off, she finished. And Melanie's eyes widened as she began to have a panic attack beside Jackson. Me first. A girl I recognized as Emma from the cheer squad exclaimed, while she looked ahead of her devilishly at a guy named Mark, rumored to be her ex. Emma was one of the ones who were already a shot away from being drunk. She grabbed the bottle excitedly and spun it. Her face fell when it didn't land on Mark, and instead it landed on Jun, a football player. Mark, however, couldn't look more relieved as he stared at the top of the bottle, which landed only 2 people away from him. Truth or dare? Emma asked, forcing a smile, but it came out as more of a pout. Dare. 7 minutes in heaven with Leela in the closet, she said, the devilish smirk playing on her face once again. Leela and Emma were sworn enemies. And it's obvious that Leela is in fact a virgin. And who better to set your own enemy up with rather than a player? The top comes off, Leela said, shooting a dirty look at Emma as she slid her top off, and you couldn't peel Vernon's eyes off of her. Jun winced, grabbing his chest mockingly and faking a pain. Ouch, Virgin Mary, that hurts, he uttered, earning himself a glare. That was how the game started. And before I knew it, tops were flying, and dresses were spread on the floor. Mia, your turn, Jackson said, and pushed the bottle closer to the antisocial girl beside him, who was fully clothed. Her hair, however, was fucked up due to the intense makeout session she just had with Vernon. All right, she said, grabbing the bottle and spinning it with minimum force. The bottle spun fast, and it still made me dizzy, even though I was staring to sober up. I was pretty sure that if I had to, I'd have been able to walk in a straight line. Then, it landed on me, and as usual, I didn't pick truth like some sissy. I dare you to, Mia said, racking her brain to come up with a dare. I thought I'd be something dirty like lick shots off of Jun. Or some shit like that, but it wasn't. It was a dare that I didn't know would affect me. Take one Carter's virginity. Wait. One. Carter. Who the hell is he? And what do they think of me? Not a virgin anymore. If I have to take one's virginity, then I'll lose mine too. Fuck. But I only want Uno to take me first. Shit. The blank walls. The eraser shavings and cartoons drawn on the desk. Formed from complete utter boredom. The inevitable feeling of animosity. It was the day that we all begged and prayed that this day wouldn't come. It was Monday. Also known as death of my spirit. But why did it feel? I was missing something, and then it hit me like a wave of fucking nausea. The party, the drinking, the game, the dare. Shit. I went home last night hoping that Uno was still awake, and I planned to ask him about this guy named One Carter. But unfortunately, the sexy nerd went to bed at 9, and that was fucking hilarious. I went home at 1 in the morning. Hey Vernon. I asked my best friend as we walked from his black Harley-Davidson motorcycle onto school grounds. I thought I was going in school with Uno, but he's out the moment I opened my eyes. My leather jacket paired with black crop top, and short denims drew attention automatically. Mostly from the guys on the football team. I was a notorious badass, as they said in high school, and I want to bring that title of mine here in Newark. I don't really understand what makes me so badass. I'd say it was Vernon always hanging around me like the leech he was. And until here in college he followed me. Don't get me wrong. He was my best friend. But he's a fucking ball of testosterone and annoyance. Most of the time. Another reason for my badass title would mostly be from my I don't give a shit attitude, or because I can't stay in class long enough for the lesson to start. I was always the first one to kick out even when I didn't do anything wrong. I swear. These lazy-ass teachers have it out for me. What? Vernon asked, bobbing his head to some stupid tune that played by the skateboarder's stereo. Do you remember anything from that shitty party last night? I asked, recalling exactly what happened in the dark room, with a crowd of people that wouldn't be seen together if they weren't under the influence in any way. Vernon shook his head before a light bulb went off inside his head. And he turned to me, freezing in his space, and his eyes widened slightly. Except for the fact that one of us has to take the virginity of a genius nerd. He wiggled his eyebrows. Genius nerd? Yeah. That one Carter guy is a fucking genius nerd who is a fucking virgin. I rolled my eyes at his sarcasm and breathed through my nose, trying to telepathically erase any existent memory of that party from Vernon's itty-bitty mind whatsoever. I don't even know that guy you were talking about. I continued walking in the hallway, looking for the geometry room. I don't even know how they'd met this one guy when they were enrolled in other school. They said the nerd was here in Newark, and Vernon was the only friend I have here. Just forget about it. Vernon exclaimed, running to level my speed. What? I stopped walking and faced him. Forget the dare. They will never know anyway, he said, his eyes on mine. But, no buts, baby, I know you. I know you haven't did it with other man yet, he said. And I looked down. He's my best friend after all, who knew everything about me. Gotta go. He slightly tapped my shoulder and jogged to his own room. The sound of the bell interrupted my music, which was on full blast. I sighed and picked up my bag, rushing to my locker when I bumped into someone. Hey, watch where you going. A girl with a very pale and flawless complexion which shined like you would never know yelled at me. She had big olive green eyes, making her look so adorable. She was wearing a simple knee-length floral dress and some flats. She looked like an angel, but her attitude seemed to be like an evil. I was about to say sorry, but her deep glare and scowl that seemed to be permanently etched on her face as she took in my features stopped me. Not saying sorry, I said, as I popped a bubble of gum in my mouth before laughing at the annoying look she had on her face. What did you say? She frowned. I said, I'm not saying sorry, it's your fault. I shrugged my shoulders, stifling my laughter that threatened to be released at the sight of an angel. Suddenly became witch. You? I smacked her finger off me. Bye, angel. I slammed my locker off her face and walked out as she watched me with wide eyes. I could have sworn I saw a fire blazing through it. I didn't stick around after that because Vernon was ever so patiently waiting for me in front of the school, and he would rip out my esophagus and beat me a pulp with it if I managed to come out late. Bitch, I heard. Angel stuttered quietly before I dashed out of the school and hopped onto the Harley that would eventually be the cause of my impending doom. Uno Yohu, I called for him, shouting his name as I took out my shoes and entered the living room. Ashley. He looked up from playing on his PlayStation 4. I smiled at his figure, who looked like a kid slumped on the floor. He fixed his eyeglasses before he stood up, dusting off the dirt on his pants. Let's go shopping. I'm going to make my homeworks. He looked down and suddenly made his way to his room. Homeworks on the first day of the class, I exclaimed, making him froze and his eyes widened. Let's go, Uno. I swiftly reached for him and pulled his hand. His deep masculine chuckle had me shutting my eyes tightly. After 2 minutes, we were in the elevator. I leaned against the glass wall as Uno pressed the ground floor button. I haven't seen you in school, Uno. Where'd you go? I asked, catching his trembled hands. I intertwined our fingers and he seemed to get tense again, and I chuckled. Are you nervous? Why? Yeah. He stuttered like he always did. Why? I mimicked him, mocking, both condescending and confused. Because. Before he could finish his sentence, the elevator slid open. We walked out of the elevator holding hands. As we walked into the crowded and well-furnished lobby, we were stopped by a yell behind us. Uno quickly let go of my hand and plastered a genuine smile on his face when the young girl with long blonde hair and pale skin walked up to us. She was pretty with her flawless skin and large blue eyes. I estimated her age to be in 20s or same with us. I guess so. Hey, Uno, she greeted. She was carrying a stout little baby on her hip. This little angel was so cute. Her cheeks were almost overflowing. Like her mother, she too had blonde hair which was curly in the best way possible. Hello, Ella? How are you? Uno replied, and reached up to ruffle the baby's hair. And how is little Missy? He cooed, making me laugh internally. Cute. I'm great, Uno. And who is this beautiful girl here? Did you finally find someone? Ella made her way to me and shook my hand. Thank God. Uno and I looked at each other. I wasn't surprised to see him reddened. You have no idea how relieved I am seeing him with you. Oh my God. I was beginning to think that he was gay. Ella whispered to me, and I took a liking for her. She was nice. I laughed loudly and nodded my head slowly. He is gay. Hey, Uno said, exasperated. Ella and I laughed, and I took that moment to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Ashley Anderson, this Korean sausage's housemate. After the words left my mouth, I realized what I'd just said. Ella's big blue eyes widened in shock, and Uno blushed like a beetroot. Oh no. Shit. I'm horrible at this. I didn't mean it like that. What I mean is, it's okay, Ashley. I understand. She recovered soon and giggled. I'm sorry, I sputtered, shaking my head. She tapped my shoulder and smiled at Uno, who was still blushing. I live here in this very building. My flat number is 20R. You should come to me sometimes, Ash. We can gossip or talk about Uno. She giggled and I smiled. It's been a long time since I've had a fellow female to talk to. She trailed off as her eyes drifted to her baby Missy. I grabbed her hand on my shoulder and squeezed it lightly, but I have no regrets. She grinned and touched her head against Missy's, making the little bundle of joy giggle. Honestly, I didn't want to gossip with this girl, but after seeing her infinite love for her child, my stone heart managed to melt. A mother and her daughter, I would absolutely love to. I smiled at her widely, and she smiled back warmly at me. Great, see ya. She kissed my cheek and I turned too, ruffling Missy's hair before Ella walked away. The streets were almost empty and lit up by the street lamps. A few people passed us, mostly couples. There was a Korean restaurant across the street. "You get your food from there?" I asked Uno, and he nodded, not looking back at me. I frowned at him, not speaking, but thought of ignoring it. "Ella is a nice girl, right?" I asked again, hoping to make a conversation, and he nodded again for the second time, looking straight forward and digging his hands into the pockets of his jeans. My hand was itching to reach for his big hand and hold it, but he's hiding it like he didn't want for me to touch him anymore. I shrugged my shoulders and tried to talk to him again. "I like her." He stayed silent, and that made me snap. "Hey, what the hell is wrong with you?" I stopped and turned around to face him. With his way blocked, he stood there, looking at me with hooded eye, fixing his glasses. "Nothing, Ashley. Nothing. Let's go." He attempted to walk around me, but I caught his shirt and pulled him back, ignoring the electricity. "Tell me," I pleaded. He took a deep breath and spread his hands out. "Do you think I'm gay?" he yelled, suddenly making me take a step back. I remembered his voice the first time we met. The voice that didn't stutter, the voice that's very authoritative. Oh God, the voice I like. I noticed that he didn't stutter when he's mad. I laughed. "No, Uno, I don't. That was a joke," I amended, hoping to correct his misunderstanding. His eyes flashed with an unknown emotion. I'm sorry," he suddenly whispered. "Hey, why are you apologizing?" "I should be the one doing that," I told him, clutching his hand. "I'm really sorry, Uno. And no, I shouldn't have." Why yelled like that? I just don't like people calling me G," he murmured. Has anyone called him gay before? I wanted to ask that question, but I shut my mouth because I knew that we had to grow more close before we braid each other's hair and tell our secrets. I nodded slowly. "Let's both say sorry and forget that this ever happened," I suggested, and he nodded. "I'm sorry, Ashley," he mumbled. "And I'm sorry, Uno," I said, and then smiled, looking at the small grin on his face. As we continued walking, I thought of starting a proper conversation with Uno. "So, what is Ella to you?" I asked. I was dying to know the answer to that damn question, since Ella walked away from us. I peeked at him through my thick lashes, wishing that he had not blushed when I said her name. To my satisfaction, he just remained the same, and his expression was casual, looking straight ahead and adjusting his glasses every now and then. A V? Very close friend? Yeah, she's like a sister to me," he answered, and I nodded happily. If there was any other guy in his place, he would ask, "Why? Are you jealous?" But this was Uno, and he just answered honestly. She's the one who took your apartment," he admitted, and I laughed. "Want to hear something weird?" I asked playfully. "Why, yay," he whispered. I kicked a stone on the street which rolled towards a cat sleeping near a garbage can. From my peripheral vision, I saw Uno looked at me. I clutched the straps of my backpack and turned to look at him. "Thanks to Ella, I've met you," I sincerely said, and the smile he gave me made my heart fluttered, and I smiled at him sheepishly. Is that something weird?" he asked, and I blushed, making him laugh hard. "I like seeing you blush," he teased, "and I like you too, Uno." "So milk?" I asked, pulling out a carton from the fridge. Uno, who was going through the fruits and vegetables section, looked at the carton of milk in my hand and nodded his head. "And cereals too," I groaned loudly, and placed 4 cartons in my cart. "Hey." I poked his back and he slowly turned at me, a long cucumber in his hand, making me burst out laughing at his sight. He looked like a model of that green cucumber. What?" he asked, clueless. "My life is hamburger," he exclaimed, and I rolled my eyes. He liked his hamburger to have cucumbers. Well, I don't. Whatever. I hissed and pushed the cart after throwing a box of strawberries. Uno may look innocent and shy, but he was a goddamn devil when it came to shopping. We have been at it for almost half an hour already, and all that's in our shopping cart are a few packets of chips, a jar of Nutella, fruit, and vegetables, and 4 cartons of milk. He was thoroughly enjoying this, whereas I was considering kicking his sexy ass. Now let's do this. This is my cart, and you get one for yourself, and put whatever shit you want in there, I suggested. And he nodded, walking towards the exit to fetch another cart. I turned left and continued scrolling through the various items. I picked out some more chips because why the hell not? I threw in some boxes of butter and cheese. Some biscuits were thrown in next, and after 10 minutes of throwing on random things, I reached the personal requirements section. I plucked out a pack of tampons and also another package of pads. Just then, Uno appeared next to me. His beautiful eyes saw the items in my hand, and he swiftly turned around blushing awkwardly. I grinned, and before he could start walking away, I caught onto his sleeve. It's okay, Uno. I chuckled and threw the things in the cart. I'm sorry, I pulled him close and whispered in his ear. Sesh. The smell of ambrette and vanilla wafted into my nostrils. Excuse me. A whiny voice hissed, and I turned around to face an old woman looking so grumpy. Can you youngsters not display your affection publicly? I checked out her style and I cringed. A bun with middle parting, and to make it even worse, she had oiled her hair. Yuck. Yes? I asked, smiling way too sweetly. Young lady, this isn't your bedroom. There are children around here, she huffed. I know you have no decency, but at least try to. Children? It's 9 in the evening. Anger spiked in my veins, and I flushed, feeling humiliated. I took an angry step forward and pointed my finger at her. You old, strong arms wrapped around my waist and pulled me back. I irritably looked at Ono and gave him a death glare. Ma'am, I'm sorry, okay? I know this is our fault, but you have no right to call a fellow being indecent without even knowing who they are. So, I suggest you keep your opinions to yourself and let us mind our own business, he sighed. And I advise you to do the same. To say I was shocked at Uno's speech would be the understatement of the century. He ignored my wide eyes and continued glaring at the old lady, who quickly lowered at us one last time before walking away, grumbling something about this generation going to be dogs. Uno immediately shook off his hands and stepped back, looking down. Uno, he didn't look up. That was amazing. Wow. Thank you for standing up for me, Uno. I smiled, lifting his chin with my forefinger. He blushed and looked away after taking in my surprised expression. You didn't stutter. I told him as I held onto my cart. It seems like I don't stutter when I'm doing something with determination and anger. He mumbled as we both pushed out our shopping carts. I smiled happily because of 2 things. First, Uno was opening up slowly, and second, he was the third guy who had ever stood up for me. Haha, I beat your ass. I laughed aloud while I jumped on the couch. I just won a game of Halo against Uno. I'm still proud of myself even though this was my 10th try, but I did still win, right? Turned out that Uno was a wicked gamer. He was the only one I'd ever lost to in a game of Halo. It was 11 in the evening, and we were both awake as I soon suggested that we play this, and he refused to play with me. Seriously, my first words to him were, come on, are you afraid I'll beat you? Then let me teach you how to play it. So imagine my embarrassment when I lost 9 times. So, you're happy now after over 100 tries. Get over it. I'm better than you at this. He chuckled, and I frowned. Hey, 10 tries only, I corrected him playfully. Oops, my bad, he said, raising his hands and shaking his head. I couldn't help but feel extremely elated right now. Uno was opening up to me and not acting too shy, other than a few blushing moments when I'd make naughty remarks, like when we first started playing and he shot me dead in the game. I said, don't get so excited. You look like you just got laid, and he blushed. To add to my joy, he had once again swapped his long-sleeved tee for a short-sleeved one. I'm exhausted, Uno. Can we go sleep? I yawned, stretching. The action made my crop top rise up to the point where he could see the lower part of my bra. He nonchalantly looked away, and pretending he was busy returning back his PlayStation in the cabinet. Uno. I sighed, shaking my head. He looked at me quickly and furrowed his perfectly arched eyebrows, acting as if I hadn't just caught him staring. Don't hold back, baby, I whispered as I got up and bent down to his level, making the neckline of my top droop deeper. His innocent eyes scanned my chest, and I'm pretty sure my breasts covered in a black lace bra were staring back at him.